me more.
What's good, you guys? Welcome back to another edition of The Puncher's Point with yours truly, Breezy and Mario. Y'all, we're just coming off of the Naoya Inoue and the TJ Doheny fight. And, of course, obviously, it was early o'clock this morning. Okay, look, before I get into something, look, Inoue, great fighter. Great fight. I'm going to put one out of Floyd, but hell of a fighter. Hell of a fighter. But, buddy, I'm going to need you to fight in the States, all right? I'm gonna need you to fight in the States, all right? Because I have work, okay? We in the States, we have work, okay? And we don't get home too late. We have work, we have jobs. So I'm gonna need you to kind of like, squeeze some fights in the States a little bit, okay? But nevertheless, hold on. Nevertheless, Naoya Inoue stops TJ Doheny in the 7th round. And may I say a very devastating TKO because I don't know, y'all. I feel like Naoya Inoue just discovered some new kind of science tonight that I was not ready for, nor was Mario ready for. Naoya Inoue hit this dude so hard, he damn near started doing the crib walk. And on top of that, too, but the man hurt his back. So I just want to say this before I pass it on and before I even go into further depth. To the next person that fights Naoya Inoue, just make sure you have a damn chiropractor in your damn corner because he out here breaking backs. Oh, no diddy. Okay, but he's breaking backs, literally breaking backs. Okay, and he making dudes limp like Santa Claus. But that's not what we here for though. But yes, y'all, he stopped them in the 7th round, which was a very I may say a very kind of calculated fight, which I kind of seen it was gonna be that way. I felt like Naoya Inoue in the beginning, obviously trying to gauge the range with TJ Doheny, trying to discover his weaknesses and find out what he can use against him. TJ Doheny, the most part TJ Doheny was trying to do was obviously keep the distance in the range between him, but also use the jab too. I noticed that TJ Doheny wasn't really aggressive, but he was more so patient and calculated, which helped him to an extent. As far as I can say, as far as Inoue basically kind of went in there and did what he did. He basically use your weaknesses against you. He played counter puncher too, and he also kind of backed up TJ Doheny. Although there was times and moments where both of them was catching each other with shots. I'll say very much at the highest that both Inoue and TJ Doheny they was very aware of each other's strengths and they took precautionary causes with each other. But never mind me talking. Mario, what's your thoughts on this fight?
I do want to give credit to where credit's due. Breezy talked about how good I am with Naoya Inoue predictions. However, this was a perfect prediction by Breezy. TKO, 7th round, Naoya Inoue. So that's 3 points on the board for Breezy. So you know what? Shout out to him. That was a great prediction. I thought he possibly could have stopped him in the 5th. I thought maybe the 6th would have. Nah, that was a good prediction. And honestly, if y'all looked at the parlays, okay, and we be telling y'all at the end of the prediction episodes to go bet. If y'all just looked at the parlays, we said it was going to go over 4.5 rounds. A lot of people thought it was going to be 3. I said, y'all, listen, TJ Doheny is a good he's a lot better than what people think. I'm not saying he was going to have a chance to upset him or anything, but he definitely was good enough to go past 4 rounds. So if you listen to us and you put over 4.5, you're welcome. Now, there's some days where, we don't set you up for success. So for that, we apologize. However, today was not that day. But let's get straight to the fight. Look, man. I'm high on Inoue after this fight, and I'm also low on Inoue. I'm going to explain, okay? I'm high on Inoue because can we just talk about how this guy punched somebody in the body so hard that man's back, he punched him so hard, TJ Doheny might have scoliosis for the rest of his life. I mean, that power ain't no joke. Now, when I first saw that knockdown, I thought, well, maybe TJ Doheny tweaked his ankle, and that was part of it. I knew he hurt his back, but I didn't realize how devastating it was until at the end of the episode when TJ Doheny had both his arms around guys in his corner, and they were walking him back to the locker room. Do you know how strong you have to be to have 2 guys walk your opponent to the back of the locker room because you hit him that hard? That's some things that NFL players with torn ACLs do. Their teammates come onto the field and they help them to the sideline. Naoya Inoue did that. Naoya Inoue took TJ Doheny on the sidelines. Now, I do want to give credit to where credit is due, though. Here's the reason why I feel so low on Naoya Inoue. I'm not gonna lie. In the fourth round, I had a 2 rounds to 2. I thought at the end of the fourth round, I had a 2 rounds to 2, and then Naoya Inoue picked up the fifth and the sixth clearly. So I had a 4 rounds to 2 Inoue before that stoppage, and I feel like TJ Doheny was giving him a good fight. What I liked about TJ Doheny was he wasn't putting 100% of his power into all of his punches, and we talked about that in the prediction episode. If you keep on using all your energy in your punches, you're gonna gas out. Nonetheless, we were wrong or I was wrong, I should say, because he ended up gassing out regardless. And that was because of the constant body pressure from Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue, from round 1 to all the way to round 7, was putting the pressure on TJ Doheny's body. And you could tell it was affecting him. And there were some shots before that knockout where you heard the shot and you were like, I can't believe that didn't bring him down. Every single time he hit him with one of those body shots, I was expecting the late reaction, him to get on the canvas, and get knocked down. That didn't happen. It didn't happen until the 7th round. So TJ Doheny, I think he did a great job with his jab. I think he did a great job of being awkward and kind of forcing Inoue to be cautious. Remember, in the last fight, he got clipped with a stupid punch by Neri, but he came back and he dominated. I'm not going to lie. I think this was a worse performance from Inoue than the Neri fight. Because at least with the Neri fight, it was one knockdown, and then he picked himself back up, dusted himself back off, and basically controlled the fight. He controlled the fight in this fight, but the problem was there were times where I feel like Inoue just didn't press the trigger. There were times where TJ Doheny moments where he would try to go full power into his punches and miss. And I'm like, all he has to do is throw an overhand, and Inoue got him knocked down. But he just seemed like he couldn't pull the trigger. It seemed like whenever TJ Doheny started doing like the twitches and the feints and all that, Inoue didn't want to come in. I just feel like he wasn't trigger friendly in this fight. I feel like a lot of the punches that he was landing, it was, imposing his will on TJ Doheny instead of reacting to the times that TJ Doheny would leave himself open. And I got to say this right now, regardless of how TJ Doheny lost, we got to tip our cap to him. He gave him a fight, and not many people are willing to give Inoue a fight. Stephen Fulton was a very decorated champion, I should say, in that division, and Inoue made it light work. TJ Doheny gave Inoue more of a fight than Stephen Fulton did. So we got to give him credit where credit's due, And I mean, Inoue's a hell of a fighter, but TJ Doheny's been around the sport for a long period of time. He's kind of on the older side, but he did very good. And again, shout out to TJ Doheny, tip my cap to him. But again, it's the monster, it's Naoya Inoue, and we knew he wasn't going to beat him. We knew Inoue was just too overpowered. So now, with all that being said, let's go to strategy, Breezy. Scale of 1 to 10, as far as both fighters' combined fight strategy. How would you grade it?
I say an 8. Like I said earlier, I feel like it was both calculated. Nobody was rushing in too much, and I think that's why the fight kind of went the way it did. Because I like the way you view the fight so low for Inoue. I feel like that's probably did is because Inoue wanted to take a more calmer approach. We usually see Inoue in that calm, stiffly, sneaky, killer instinct approach, but Inoue was just a little bit more hesitant, a little bit more calm, a little bit lenient, but also trying to put the pressure on him and trying to cut the ring off for him. Inoue was just a little bit more calmer and calmer this fight than he was the other ones. And I always say it's better to be calm and pick your shots than to be wild and aggressive and end up taking a shot. So, and as far as with Doheny, I mean, even with him taking this slow approach, because let's just be real. I mean, if Doheny went in there and just started throwing, the fight would have went under 3 rounds if Doheny would have took that route and basically tried to put the aggressiveness on Inoue from round 1. If he would have did that, I guarantee you, we wouldn't be talking about round 7. We wouldn't even be talking about past round 3. But that's why that's why I feel like this game plan was a 8. And then if you know a spot with TJ Doheny too. And I heard them say on commentary, he's not throwing the hard punches. He's throwing punches to land. He's throwing punches to get up on the cards, but he's not throwing punches to really hurt Inoue right now. He's trying to save those punches for later on, even though he's still gassed out. But it's the IQ aspect of it. It's the strategy playing of it. He was trying to land and use that jab, but at the same time, he wasn't trying to put too much on himself to where he gassed his own self out earlier than what he had already did. So I gave it both. I give both for about an 8.
I'm gonna give them a 7. And look, you're absolutely right. Inoue seemed to take more of a Tank Davis approach. Take some time and kind of figure out Doheny instead of going and attacking right away. So he took the Tank Davis approach right there. The reason why I give it a 7 is because TJ Doheny I think did better than what I expected him to do, and Inoue did slightly. I don't think he lived up to what I thought he was gonna do. I thought that Inoue was going to have multiple knockdowns. That didn't happen. And I thought TJ Doheny was going to basically be out of there in the 5th round. TJ Doheny not only, don't get me wrong, I knew Doheny was a lot better than what people expected. Obviously, him being 4-0 in Japan, I know that was kind of his place as well. However, I thought he was going to have his moments. I didn't think he was going to have as many of his moments as he did. So shout out to TJ Doheny. Even though he didn't really hurt Naoya Inoue, there were some times where he definitely counterpunched him very, very well, which I said were the keys to victory. There were times where I saw the counterpunch from Doheny, or I seen him cut the angles, and I was like, that's pretty nice, especially against a fighter like Inoue. Inoue, the reason why I don't think he did as well as he should have, again, like I said, he didn't press the trigger enough. There were times where I feel like he could have just knocked him out with a counterpunch, and he kind of held off on it. He was a little too patient. So overall, I got to give it a 7, Again, I think Inoue didn't live up to the expectation, or the strategy-wise, I don't think Inoue lived up to it. And I think TJ Doheny kind of surpassed my expectations of what I thought he was going to come into this fight looking like. So I got to give it a 7. Now, with that being said, let's go straight to excitement. Let me start off with this, Breezy. I thought this was going to be better than the Neri fight. I can't say it was, but it wasn't a boring fight. The knockout definitely raises it, okay, for sure. So as far as excitement, man, I gotta give it about like a 7.5. The reason why I say that is because the fight itself was a little bit more calculated, which I expect. I'm not saying calculated fights aren't exciting, they are, but it started off very, very slow, and then it picked up a little bit more, which is why I gave it a 7.5, and the knockout just adds on to it. So overall, I would have gave it a 7, but because of the knockout, I bumped it up a little bit because I don't think people understand how impressive that knockout is. That could be knockout of the year. And this is not me glazing Inoue. Do you know how, again, I want to say it one more time. How many of y'all hit somebody so hard that you broke their back? Pause, no diddy. How many of y'all have done that in life? I'm going to tell you how many of y'all watching this video have done that. 0. So you know what? That's an impressive knockout. With that being said, I got to give it a 7.5. It didn't live up to the Neri versus Inoue fight, but I do believe it was still an exciting fight. So give it about a 7.5 for me.
I agree that it was an exciting fight. I'll give it a 7 just due to how the fight ended. But we talking about excitement. I'll say a 6. Like I said earlier, and like we said in the prediction, the breakdown video, a lot of people didn't have no kind of faith in TJ Doheny. A lot of people saw TJ Doheny as another victim, another lick on Inoue's resume. And because they did, a lot of people see it goes like this, right? It goes without saying, right? You have this one guy who's this dominating champion. He's stopping everybody. He's putting everybody in the dirt. And then you have this guy. Yeah, he does have power. Yeah, he has skill. But it's just kind of like, well, yeah, you have the skills. But guess what? This guy has those skills too. And they're more enhanced than you. They're more impressive than you. He can do things 10 times better than what you was doing already. So a lot of people didn't have faith in him already as it is. Even when they announced the fight, people was like, oh, easy work, light work, easy work. A lot of people didn't have excitement for the fight because they just felt like, hey, this was going to be another clean, easy stoppage for Inoue. Although the fight went how it went. But we just analyzing off of first announcement all the way up to now. I mean, I don't think anything really changed. Everybody's still saying he's still a monster, and people was just kind of like, well, we knew that was going to happen. So I'll say 7. I was about to say 6, but on terms of how the knockout ended, how the fight ended, I give it a 7. But this fight really didn't live up to the exciting route that it would have did before in any other fight that Inoue would have had, especially with like Dornier or anything.
To do a little bit of recalculation, but we all good. Stakes, all right? What was on the line here? Well, the Undisputed Championship was on the line, and that's always going to be high stakes. I feel like if the Undisputed Championship is on the line, it's got to be at least an 8. I'm going to give it 8.5, and I'm going to raise it up just a little bit because the last fight, Inoue got knocked down. So then the only thing that was everybody knew he was going to beat Doheny, but the only thing that people were asking was, is that going to happen again? Is it possible that Inoue could get clipped and make a stupid mistake 2 times in a row? And that didn't happen. Instead, what happened was we got to see times where I feel like Inoue was outboxed a little bit. There were some rounds where I feel like Doheny got those rounds, but either way, I had a 4-2 Inoue. But I feel like the reason why I give it an 8.5 is because this is the first fight besides the Donaire fight where I can honestly say Inoue is a human. I can honestly say, because I used to think like there wasn't a lot of weaknesses with him, and there's really not. But after watching this fight, I don't know, man. Like there's some things you can pick apart. There's some things if you get the right boxer who can box and who can punch and can match up with Inoue's athleticism. That's 3 things that is very hard to do. But if you can find somebody like that person can give him trouble. So there's some things, man, and I got to give it an 8.5 because I feel like the stakes of this fight, I think with everything on the line, I feel like Inoue had to have a dominant performance and he had a dominating knockdown. But again, he did struggle a little bit. And we're going to hear in the comments, I don't think y'all were watching the same fight. He was clearly waiting to calculate him. That's not what was happening. Okay, he was waiting and he was calculating, yes, but at the same time, there were times where he was getting outboxed, and it was a little bit more difficult for Inoue to get that stoppage, opposed to him knocking somebody out in the third or in the fourth. He had to wait to the seventh because I do believe he was struggling a little bit. So with the Undisputed Championship on the line and with the whole expectations that people thought Inoue was going to come in here with, I mean, let's be honest, Breezy, the over-under was 4.5 rounds. It took 7. So he had a high expectations in here, and I don't think he fully lived up to them. And that's not no diss on Inoue. I love Inoue. Ask Breezy. I love him. I've always believed in him. That's my guy right there. He is one of the most, if not the most exciting fighter I have watched in a very, very long time. But I gotta keep it real. I gotta be honest and I gotta keep it real. It might be a hot take, but I don't think he lived up to all the expectation and all the hype that a lot of people expected him to in this fight. But I gotta give it an 8.5.
Y'all want to ask me what was at stake in this fight? Belts, legacy, a back, and some doggone ankles. But I'll say this though, right? Okay, so to me, look, I told Mario this before, and I'm gonna tell y'all this. I don't think I told y'all this, but I definitely told Mario this. You know, the more and more he fights, the more and more is gonna be things to pick apart and look at. I give the stakes about like 7. But to continue on what I was saying, I told Mario this. I feel like y'all gonna really see Inoue in a position to lose once he get at 135. And I don't gotta do names, so don't come in the comment section talking about some who. I ain't gotta say names. Y'all know who, okay? But I feel like the possibilities of him actually taking the loss, I believe if he goes to 135, I believe that's the weight division where he'll take his first loss. Anything other than that, I believe he can still be all right. I'm not saying that there's not the possibility of him losing because it's still boxing. But if you ask me in this timeline of where we're at right now with boxing, I will fully bet on that his first loss will come at him. His first loss will come if he goes to 135. Because I feel like at 135, you in there. A lot of the guys at 135, they didn't been in there with some guys, and they've been in there with some styles that could be confusing, elusive. The boxer puncher, the outboxer, the slugger, you name it. And then not only that too, but y'all talking about how Neri hit him. It's some dudes at 135 that they hit a whole lot harder. And like I said, I don't gotta say names. This is rhetorical speaking. Y'all know who hit hard as hell at 135. We ain't gotta do that, okay? But I truly believe that stake wise, I give about, like I said, I give about 7. It's building, but it's like it's not building. But at the same time, though, in the longevity rise things of it, it all depends on what he chooses to do next.
Spoiler alert, or just to clarify, he's talking about Rolly Romero, guys.
Definitely.
He's talking about Rolly Romero. He fights Rolly Romero, it's over. Actually, no, my bad. That's not what he's talking about. I'm sorry. He's talking about Steve Claggett.
We got him. Yep.
The GOAT. All right. Last but not least, let's get to impact. How does this impact the division or the sport of boxing? I'm gonna be honest. The division, it is what it is. I think he's outgrown this division. He's kicked everybody's ass in this division. I don't care who's next. MJ, Sam Goodman, he destroys them both. But the impact of boxing, I'm gonna be honest. I gotta give that a 7 too. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think this was enough for him to be pound for pound number one. So he's either gonna be 2 or 3. Right now, I think pound for pound number one. I haven't looked at the list. I know it's either Crawford or Usyk, but I don't think he's done enough. I gotta put him at 2 or 3, man. Like I don't think it bumps him up any more. The only thing Inoue can chase now is number one pound for pound. Because originally it was just Terrence Crawford and him kind of fighting for that spot, and then Usyk became 2-time undisputed. So now you got Usyk in there, and overall, man, I mean that's what he's fighting for pound number one. But with this fight, I don't think he's gonna get it. I think he's either gonna jump up a spot or he's gonna stay where he is. He's gonna be 3 or 2. So as far as impact, how this impacts the boxing, I gotta give it a 7. However, it, as of right now, it's a 7. But in the future, it could bump up to an 8 or a 9. I'm gonna explain why, but I'm gonna pass on to Breezy before I do that. Breezy, impact scale 1 to 10. How does this fight? How does this win from Naoya Inoue impact either the division or the sport of boxing on a scale of 1 to 10?
5. I'm gonna tell you why. I saw his face, y'all. I saw Mario's face. I'm gonna tell y'all why, right? So, like I said, right, everything always goes into the credibility of the opponent that a person fights. When Terrence Crawford beat Errol Spence Jr., look out, y'all saw how much Terrence Crawford was uplifted and called pound for pound number one. Why? Because he fought a guy named Errol Spence Jr. that was a unified champion holder at 147, who nearly cleared out the whole division. Usyk, why did Usyk get crowned as pound for pound number one? Is because Usyk beat the Tyson Fury. This is what a fat man looks like, Fury. Okay, so everything always goes into the credibility of the opponent that you're fighting. Like I said, and I'm gonna say it once again, nobody had no hopes for this man beating Inoue. That's why I say it's a 5, because it's like, and that's not to discredit his other wins, because that's not what I'm trying to do. His other wins is like, okay, pound for pound worthy. But this fight, I mean, if you look at Terrence Crawford last fight, who was he against? Majimov? Whole fight. Usyk last fight, Fury. And then you look at Inoue fighting Doheny, it's kind of like, well, I mean, that's cool. We knew you was gonna do that. It wasn't nobody that was like, wait, hold on. Doheny might actually have a chance. It wasn't that kind of scenario. I had already written off Doheny when he announced the fight anyway. And I know he's a former champ and all that. I get all that. But in the same realm of things, it's the same thing like I said earlier. If you look at one fighter and you look at a better fighter, you know the skills is unmatched. And that's how everybody viewed this fight. The skills was just unmatched. Anyway, skills was too much for a Doheny, even though the fight went the way it went. But at the same time, though, this wasn't no opponent where it was like, yo, this is 50-50. Everybody already had it in their mind when this fight got announced that Doheny was going to get stopped. So that's why I say 5. It's all about the opponent you're facing. You can have a great KO, but it's who did you KO?
Now, I do want to say the overall fight grade is 7.13. That puts it in 8th place out of all the fights that we graded. He's in the top 10, but he ain't in the top 3 like I thought he was going to be. But overall, though, I didn't think it was a bad fight. I think we definitely have graded worse. And I feel like when we review it, I feel like we might put it high. We might feel like I'll feel like I'll believe that it could have went higher than what it was, when we look at the other fights. Maybe Breezy might change his mind. That doesn't mean we're going to bump it up there. The grades are what they are. But when we go back and we look at it, maybe that'll be a fight where we think, maybe we were a little too hard, or maybe this fight could have been higher. Now, I talked about why the impact could bump up to an 8 or 9, or it could be drastic. And here's the reason why. I need y'all to do some research, okay? Because there is a guy that is tailing Inoue, and his name is Junto Nakatani. If you go and look at what Junto Nakatani has done in his career, it is almost parallel to what Naoya Inoue did to become the monster, to become a boxing superstar. Naoya Inoue, 4-division champion. Junto Nakatani, 3 division champion. Junto is chasing undisputed, but before he can get to Naoya, you got to get to Little Bro and Takuma. So before that's the fight I believe I want to see happen. I'm saying this right now. If Junto and Naoya Inoue fight, it's going to split decision, and it could go to either guy. For those who don't know, please look up Junto Nakatani because there's some people who've never seen him fight, and that's okay. Because those lighter divisions, as we know, they're not spotlighted like the other ones. They're not spotlighted like 135 and 140 and 150 and 155, or my bad, 154 and 168. They're not spotlighted like that, or the heavyweight division. But y'all need to look up Junto Nakatani because this guy is a problem. And this is the one. And the reason why I mentioned Junto is because Top Rank and Bob Arum has talked about having Junto and Naoya Inoue fight in a future date, possibly in the Tokyo Dome. Both guys are Japanese. That's going to sell out. That will sell out. And I'm guaranteeing you this. Real boxing fans, real boxers know how good Junto Nakatani is. There will be a lot of people at this fight to see how it would play out. After seeing Inoue's performance, if that fight happens, it's going to split decision. As of right now, I slightly give it to Inoue only because of the popularity. But these two are so good. These two, the way they fight, Junto is like a taller version of Inoue, but Inoue is the more experienced version of Junto, if that makes any sense. So if these two ever fought, expect fireworks. I'm just saying that right now. I expect that fight to be a 10. If any fight is a 10, it's going to be that one. But as far as who he should fight next, I would love to see Sam Goodman. I would love to see MJ fight Nick Ball or Ray Ford or one of those guys. I'd really love to see him make the move up to 130 and try to conquer that division as well. Because I do believe if he does make that jump, that could definitely boost his pound for pound ranking. He could possibly go all the way up to 135. And I'm going to say this right now. If Inoue continues moving at the pace that he is moving, I mean, the guy is 23-0 with 21 knockouts in championship fights, and he's only 31. If he continues moving at this pace, Breezy, I'm saying it right now, y'all can grill me in the comments. I don't care. If he continues moving at this pace, look at me when I say this, he will be better than Manny Pacquiao. I don't care what y'all say. He is on that track, and he is on that pace. So with the way he's moving, y'all better watch out. But overall, who should he fight next? Sam Goodman, MJ, or fight Nick Ball or Ray Ford? And then possibly in the future, after a couple of those fights, him and Junto. If Junto can beat Takuma, then we got it, man. That's all I got to say. So I'm going to pass on to you. Who would you like to see him fight?
Some damn jail time for what he did to old boy Doheny. He need to do some jail time for what he did to him. But look, I'm let me chill. I'm gonna stop playing around. But nah, really, no, real spill. I agree with you said though. Sam Goodman or Ray Ford or a name I did not hear, Bruce Carrington. Y'all been look. I've been seeing y'all eyeing each other. Look, I've been noticing you. Bruce been saying a little something in your way. You been look. I'm just saying. Down the line, I would love to see Inoue, Ray Ford, Inoue, Bruce Carrington. Come on, all them. But at the same time, though, like I said earlier in the beginning of the podcast, I'm sorry anyway. I'm gonna need you to start, having a little bit of fights in the States, okay? Your boy got home from work, and I had a lot to do. So I crashed. I woke up and it was like, oh snap! Anyway, and already fought. Well, I'll be god dog. Anyway, please. I know you don't care about what I'm saying because who am I to you, right? Course. But damn it, man, can you fight in the States just one time? Just damn it, man. Look, Ray Ford, Sam Goodman, Bruce Carrington.
Don't even just work, okay? Okay, we're both busy guys. We both work very, very hard. We're tired, okay? So when we go home, we go to sleep. Let me explain something. I woke up 4 times to catch this fight because Forbes said that the main card was going to start at 5 o'clock. So my ass woke up at 5 o'clock. What did I see? 2 female fighters fighting. I said, okay, no disrespect to them, but that's not Inoue. I'm going back to sleep. I wake up. I start seeing the main card. I start seeing like the last 3 fights. I'm like, I still got time. I still got another half an hour. I'm going to go to sleep. I wake up. It's the co-main event. I'm like, all right, I'm going back to sleep. I'm giving it 15 minutes and this fight should start. What are they doing? They're giving previews. They're giving video packages at 7:30 a.m. Luckily, I woke up at 7:30 a.m. because that's when I was supposed to wake up to go to work. And I'm like, I cannot miss another Inoue fight. I don't care. I'm taking my phone in the shower and I'm watching this thing while I take a shower. I am making sure that I get to watch Naoya Inoue. So you know what? I had to see that fight. I'm glad I got to see it. You know what I'm saying? It's been a minute since I've actually got to see an Inoue fight live in person. Usually we got to catch the full fight on YouTube for Inoue, but now I agree with Breezy. Have it in Vegas. Have it in, have it in New York. I heard that they were trying to sell Inoue in Dodger Stadium. Let's get that cracking. But most likely if you get an Inoue fight, it's gonna be in Japan. As early as it is, I would love to see Junto versus Inoue in Japan. That fight needs to happen in Japan if it happens. But other than that, bring him to the United States. He's already a star. He's already got the popularity. Just keep on bringing it. But obviously, with that being said, man, Breezy, wrap it up for us, please.
It's the Punches Point. We live every week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, sometimes Thursdays. You never know. We might sneak up. See, we did Tuesday. Y'all wasn't ready for that, huh? We did Tuesday. So y'all never know. Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sunday, whenever the Punches Point schedule is open. Y'all just gotta stay tuned. Make sure y'all stay up to tune with the X, stay to tune on the Instagram. Continue to listen to the podcast app. Stop leaving the podcast app. Show the podcast app some love. Listen to us on there. We're everywhere. You know what I'm saying? We could be in your mama house. We could be in your dad's house. We could be in your girlfriend's house. Look, don't get insecure. She not cheating, bro. Relax. She's just listening to the Punches Point. But make sure y'all stay on point with the Punches Point.